Hello? Hello?
Hello. Hi guys, how you doing?
Hey, Greg. How are you?
Great, Jabin. How are you?
We're doing good. We're doing good. How about you?
Doing okay. I'm on the road, but I'm in a nice coffee shop, and I'm sitting down, drinking a nice coffee.
Perfect.
So it's a good day.
Yes.
How are you guys doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good. We're in our daily schedule, and yes, pretty much prepared for the call, and that's all from our end.
That's great. John,
Yes.
you're on the call?
Yep, good morning.
Morning, John.
Good morning, John.
Hey, good morning, Greg. John, how are you?
Morning, Javed. How you doing?
I'm doing perfect. Just that I had some issues with my Zoom connection. I just got in.
I'm glad you made it. Yeah, ours works really well here in the States. And, we hear you better on Zoom than we did on Google, definitely.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
This is a peculiar issue. I mean, I'm facing this for the first time in Zoom.
Okay. So
Greg, Greg. So before we start, just a reminder on that signed contract.
yeah, I'll have my printer and scanner later on today, so I'll be able to send it
Take
to
your
you.
time. Take your time. No issues. Just I'm just giving reminders. Don't worry.
Yeah, no problem.
There is a lot of trust involved between both the teams that the paperworks are necessary, but still we are moving even without it. I'm saying there is a lot of trust involved.
Great,
So
thank
no
you.
hurry, take your time.
Great. Hello, Ajish. How are you?
I'm doing great, Greg. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. Yeah, it's a good day so far.
It's been great. We've been working on the second SRS, and it's on. Should be able to send it across.
Well, I'm looking forward
pretty
to
soon.
hearing what you put together. And what I've seen so far is pretty good. It looks like it's a good framework. Of course, we're going to have to fill in a lot of gaps as we go along, but it seems like it's a good framework.
Great. All right. So, Javed, not sure about the agenda today, but my agenda is to have the SRS reviewed, make modifications or additions or deletions, if any. And
Rajesh, you're right. In fact, that is something which is very important to us, and it's a very crucial discussion that is going to happen today because I believe John and Greg might have reviewed the SRS which you have given. That is the first SRS which you have given. Now let's see, or let's listen from them about their reviews and their suggestions, and if there are any add-ons or anything. So let's have a critical examination on the SRs which we have given them. Accordingly, let us move forward. So I think Greg and John, you can start. We are here listening to you.
John, I'll let you drive this bus. John, you there? You're muted, John.
Yeah, I lost my screen for a minute. I couldn't get back to the screen. I did get a chance to review it. There are some things that I need to kind of work through with Greg, because I think that there's overall in general, I think there's a few features or functions that either aren't clear enough, they aren't specific enough in the SRS. And I think that if they're omitted, I think they're critical pieces for the initial MVP release. Greg, I had discussed with you about talking to some of the marketing people to make sure that we had some of their feedback, and I'm not sure that that's a critical component, but I do still want to touch base with you on that as well.
Yeah, I was waiting. I sent that stuff out to them too, and they haven't got, none of them have gotten back to me. So we're not prepared to finalize this SRS for sure, because I haven't heard anything back from any of the team. But you and I definitely have already noted things that are missing that probably should be spelled out a little bit more clearly in the SRS. So yeah, and you and I should definitely confer later on about other things that we individually might have found.
I'm trying to find the location of it, but the one thing that I want to focus on is the roles and permissions, which at the end of the SRS, it discusses or mentions that this is a future, be handled in a future phase. So I want to make sure that we're kind of clear on, the profile types and the roles and the definition of that, because it's defined in the SRS a little differently than I think Greg and I have really kind of visualized it. If we can jump to page 11.
John, you can go back further than that.
3 point.
On page 7, you have a list of beneficiaries, which is 1.5.
Guys, I'm sorry to interrupt. Greg, it will be really nice if you can give me the permission to record this call.
Of course, please. Please record the call.
Yes. Yeah.
Let me see.
Thank you.
Jibin, I think it is already in recording mode.
Greg is recording the call.
I'm recording it, yes.
So if we look back, even if we start at page 7 under the terms, I mean, the beneficiaries, there's anonymous users, or not what we're calling non-members. There's members, people who register, and provide the email and sign up, etc. And then there's administrators. So I can see that those are the key beneficiaries, user types, etc. So I'm not sure what term is the correct term for that going forward. But if we look at page 8, it defines the user types, as non-members, members, and admins. So we definitely have the user types, but if we jump forward to page 11, it then discusses profile types under signing up. There's athlete, coach, parent, enthusiast, which I guess you could also say is like a fan, someone who's just interested in the sport. Greg, I don't see recruiter.
No, and that's
which I think is distinctly
glaring. I totally agree, and that was glaring to me too, that we need a recruiter in there. So that's important. That will be both on the site and also on the app too. Guys, do you understand? I just found out how to do it. Hold on. Oh, that's interesting. I'm trying to get Jibin permission to record this thing, even though we're recording it. I can send you the recording.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. You can send me the recording later.
Yeah, because I can't find a way to give you permission to record. Very
Okay.
interesting. All right, so back to our story. Yeah, we do need something on recruiters, and recruiters have a special privilege that will they will pay for. So there's going to be a subscription involved, and there's going to be extra access and ways to screen and sort the membership. So that's another thing that's going to be important for us as a moneymaker as we go forward.
So we definitely need recruiter as a profile type. And I don't think that I was able to really identify any other kind of profile types. Now, I do have a question about the parent. But I want to preface it with a more general question, and that is, can a profile be more than one profile type? Because I could be an athlete in one sport, a coach in another sport, and also a parent of a child who plays another sport. So I'm wondering if a profile has a one-to-one relationship with profile type, or if you can have multiple profile types associated to one profile. That's my first question as to how that gets defined. And then secondly, with regard to parent, I could be multiple profile types in addition to being a parent. So I'm not sure that a parent is a particular profile type, but more a set of attributes or permission. It's almost like the profile, like a role. The parent is a role that you play on top of being a specific profile type. So I want to kind of address those topics and what the understanding is and how that relationship is going to be built.
Yeah, John, right now we have not defined any database diagrams or roles. So we can have multiple profiles associated to a particular user. So that is possible.
Actually, it's set up that way already. I'll show you where in a second. Hold on a second, please.
Okay.
Rental, not me. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen so you guys can see it. And that's is here. Okay, you see my desktop now. Okay, you see my desktop?
Yes.
Okay, so this is under About Me in My World. And under Personal Profile Info, we do have a description of yourself and then what sports you play. And down here I have sport roles. Can you guys see that?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so we have sport roles, and for each one of the sports that I've clicked, I have player, pro, coach, parent, and fan. And there probably should be a couple others like recruiter. John, do you think of any other ones that roles that we should be covering there?
No, I don't. Although I want to be cautious about the way parent shows up here on what you're displaying on your screen, because when someone sets up their profile, if they say that they're a parent in a specific sport, that doesn't necessarily allow them to define which child member, which member account is their child.
Yeah, that's under here,
So-
parental. When you click parental, it gives you this, which is, it says who your kids are, and you can change whether you have approvals or you're allowing people to see their profiles, or you have total oversight over what they're doing. And those are
Right. The idea though is, like, on the screen that you're showing, there's some process that correlates the child profile with the parent profile.
right. That
And
has to be
there's
spelled out.
some mechanism. Okay, so when the child account is being created, or if the parent has to create the child's account first, there's something that triggers it. But there's going to be a designation that there's this parent-child relationship that identifies someone as a parent, which is different than someone who comes into their profile on the screen being displayed now and says, "Hey, I'm a parent."
Right. Yeah.
So I want to be very careful, because there's a distinction between being a parent that triggers the technical relationship and the workflow between those two profiles, versus me just saying that I'm a parent as opposed to a fan
Right. That's
or an
correct.
athlete.
Right.
Okay, do you guys understand what I'm saying? Is that clear?
There has to be a place here where you, in the profile management section, where you spell out who your children are. And when you do that, then you go to that page where you have the parental permissions, the stuff here.
Well, how does this get triggered now, Greg?
Yeah, I was just wondering, honestly, the way it triggers right now is that when a child signs up, the membership entry system asks the child who their parent or coach is. And when they do that, the parent gets in, or the coach gets an invitation to join if they're not already a member. And if they are a member, they get an invitation to become the designated overseer of the child's profile, the account for the child. And that's how.
Okay, so
But there should be
to
something.
me,
You're right. There should be something here that
to me,
where the parent says it.
let's pause there for a minute. I want to ask the development team. I think that we need a clear distinction between the parent and child profile types. I'm wondering if a profile type, just the same way that we have a profile type defined in the SRS for a parent, there probably should be a profile type for child as well, so that we can identify that a profile is a child as well. So that's number one. I think we need child as well. But we may need to have a separate discussion. I don't know if right now is the appropriate time, but I think we clearly need to distinguish between a profile type who's a parent because of the technical and legal requirements between those two profiles, versus me going back and saying that my role in a particular sport. Greg, if you can scroll down. So if I have these sports and I want to be a parent in squash, that's a different thing. The fact that I said that I'm a parent in this, that's my role in that sport. So do you guys understand the difference? And do you agree that we're going to have to kind of define exactly how that is
Yes,
distinguished?
yes, we do, John. We do really need to, go ahead and define these two roles, and I guess these two roles are too much as they are connected, and as child role is a subset of the parent role. We need to go ahead and define it, and there should be some kind of verification process during the onboarding as well, which actually helps us to verify if it's the parent or if it's a kid, because anyone can claim to be the parent, or if we do not define it properly, right?
Correct.
So we can see, we can definitely see what is the way through which we can verify and proceed. It can be an email verification or a number verification. So we can, a parent might have more than a kid. So they might be interested in more than just one or more sports. The information that comes to their page might include a combination of sports. So we would really need to discuss on this topic and define it.
Right, that's correct. And you know, as we said, there are three different levels. There's one where it's just notifying the parent of everything the kid does. The next one is allowing the child's profile to be visible. And the third one is about friendships and groups. We want to make sure that the parent has control, especially when the kid's younger, approvals of friendships and group memberships. And that's obviously really important for safety purposes. There's a law in the United States called COPPA, C-O-P-P-A, and we need to at least have those kind of restrictions in place, if not stronger. I would prefer stronger if we can. And we'll have to talk to a lawyer about what we can get away, you know, what is the minimum and what we want to do to make it stronger. But right now, that's how we have it set up by ages. We have 13 and under. All youth accounts have to be checked. And then between 13 and 17, the parents and the child have to decide on releasing those restrictions. And at 17, the child becomes basically an adult in the United States. And then it's up to the child if they still want approvals and profile and oversight given to the parents. But that's, we need to be sure that when a kid's younger, that we have them either certify by, you know, getting a parent involved, or that the parent signs off on it and says, I allow my child to do this and this. So that's what's, you know, really important for us, is to make sure that we're being, you know, legal and safe. This has got to be a very safe site for the youth. So, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to have that conversation.
So following back.
Greg, John, 1 second, before we move into another topic, Binu, do you have anything to add to Krishnapriya's tool? Because I remember you discussing something related to this with me the last week. So do you have anything to add on?
No, Javed, we have to make these corrections or updations in the SRS. I got the requirement or the change that we need to do very clearly.
Yeah, Greg, I have a couple of questions actually.
Yes.
Yes. So I didn't see a place where we can add, a parent can add a child, or say or select that this profile is my child. I didn't see a place where we can do that. And in
No,
sign up
Milan, it is
also,
the
I
reverse.
didn't see that.
That's correct. It seems to be missing in this. It would be by them becoming friends or finding other members, like up here. And when they do find the child, or the child finds the parent, they connect them, and it should be say there, this is my parent, this is my child. But a child cannot actually become a member without the child giving the site the parent's email address, and for the parent to come back and say, yeah, I'm the parent, or the coach sometimes, you know, guardian kind of thing, for the child. And they have to click a legal, basically a click and a CAPTCHA where we're getting the person's signature saying that they're the parent or guardian of the child or coach in some instances. And that has to be just as the child is joining, so we know what permissions to give them. Anyone can come on and be anonymous, but the permissions to become friends or group members can't happen until they are members.
Okay, so in the current website, this feature is missing. That's what you are saying.
It is, yeah.
Right.
We really need to have that very, very explicit. And in this website, it's not. By the way, I want to start with.
Yeah, we are
Hold on.
recording. Yeah.
I believe that it does exist in this site, but it's triggered through the registration process for the child. So when
Right, it
someone
is.
goes to sign up or register for the site, they're either going to say, yes, I'm under a certain age, or, you know, whatever the language is.
Yeah, we asked
And
for a date
when
of
they
birth. So that's why I got that
identify,
way.
when that's identified, we have to collect from them the email address for the parent, which will, when they submit the registration form to sign up, that email address will be looked for within the system for a member profile. And if so, a message will be sent to that profile, to that member, so that they can approve it. If that parent email address is not a member, then an invitation email would be sent to the email address so that the parent can sign up and then further approve the process. So it does exist in the site, but it's only through the registration, the member registration, when they self-identify as being a child.
Yeah, but
Milind,
in the
I
sign up
think
process,
we
I think we have only seen email, password, and some other fields. I couldn't see the option for age or searching the parent. That's what I had a confusion about.
Right. You'll notice that when you do register, the only one of the asterisked necessary fields is the date of birth. And that's what triggers everything. As soon as you say you're of this, you know, this is your date of birth, and it says you're younger than 17, it says, okay, we need your parent to join, or your guardian to join.
Okay, is this after the sign up process? Because I could see only full name, email, and both password and confirm password. That's why I had a clarification about. Anyway, that's fine. I understood what you guys are telling about.
I think sorry, go ahead, John.
I would have to go back through the process and play with it a little bit to really figure out how it's working, because I've never actually gone through those steps. You know, I've never put in an age that would show up as a child and have that trigger. So I'd have to spend time to go back and look at that.
Yeah, because me and Binu had gone through the site and we tried. I mean, we created some accounts in the sites, but in the whole process, I was not able to find any child or parent kind of stuff or relationships in the process. And in the profile also, I was not able to add or like search a parent or like notify this is my parent or this is my child. I couldn't see such a relation anywhere in the sites. That's what I had a confusion about. That's why I asked you about.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I'm actually joining right now.
Yeah, I think
we can see what happens.
Depending what we see here.
Okay, so I should be getting an email now. Let me see if I have.
Milind, I think it may be related to the age.
Yeah, maybe I guess I might have missed it, but yeah, I'm just confirming.
Yeah, I'm trying right. As soon as my email comes through, I'll be able to do that.
Yeah, sure.
Just bear with us while we do it. Okay, so let's keep talking, and I'll wait for this to pop up.
Greg, please make sure to check the spam folder also.
Oh yeah. I'll be on the
I think I don't want to get too lost in the details of this process right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Clearly, Greg, you and I are going to need to touch base and kind of revise our thinking and clarify exactly what we need. And I think that we need to do that, and then we need to get back so that with these guys so that they can update the SRS. We should have that conversation again,
Yeah,
specifically to the registration process and the child parent.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And one other clarification which I need is I couldn't find an level of abstraction for these profile types. How are the permissions handled in the site? For when you say you are a pro or a fan or a coach for a particular sport, is there any visibility permissions that being handled in the site for the groups they own, or I mean in those groups?
The idea is that when you sign up for a group, when you start a group, it asks you if this is going to be open to everybody. I don't know if it actually asks you if it's for adults only. I forget that. Okay.
No, I could see some couple of options were like group settings. In the group settings, allow the public to post or to view events, or is this a closed group for athletes? All those kind of things. But I couldn't see any like abstraction layers. Like if it's a fan who is joining, he could only see this, or if it's a parent, he has like some other privileges. I couldn't see any kind of distinction between the user roles while joining a group or creating a group. So
yeah, I agree. I think that has to be better laid out.
That kind of leads me to the last question I had about the profile types. You know, the way Greg showed the roles in the member's profile, those roles are based on each individual sport or group, if you will. So if I'm viewing a baseball page, for example, and I'm an athlete, the content and the layout of that page is going to be geared towards an athlete, someone who identifies as an athlete. But if I'm a coach in football, when I go to the football page, the content and the layout's going to be geared towards a coach. So I think my earlier comment was a little ambiguous when I was asking about a profile to profile type relationship, one-to-one, one-to-many, etc. I think that the roles are certainly different than the profile types. So I believe that there's going to be a distinction between the profile type, because if we want to identify a profile type as a coach only, that's not going to apply in certain sports. So I definitely do not have a clear enough picture in my head right now to get into the details of what's required. Greg and I certainly need to spend a little bit of time discussing this further.
I agree.
yes, we also didn't get a clear idea on how this roles and profile types actually does something in the website. So that's why we actually moved that to a bigger scope right now. So I think you got what I was trying to say.
All right. That
Yeah,
being
so-
said, this has to be in the scope of this this MVP, because we can't allow children in there.
Yeah,
and
Greg.
Have them unaccompanied.
Yeah, Greg, you and I have to spend a little bit of time really going through this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if anybody else on our team should be involved, but you and I at least have to have an initial discussion about this, and kind of, we need to define what it is that we want and what our expectations are, so that these guys can clarify it
Okay, if you have time tomorrow, John, let's get on a Zoom call and go through the same thing we're doing now, and clarify things. And if not,
yeah,
Friday,
we can do that. I'm traveling east tomorrow, kind of late morning, early afternoon. But aside from that, I'm free all day tomorrow.
All right. So maybe early in the morning, 9 or something like that, or you want to do it Friday, whatever is good for you.
Yeah, let's touch base after this to set it up.
Okay, cool. All right, guys, let's move along. We don't want to belabor this part.
Okay, so that was the primary thing, and of course, in order for us really to get into the next subjects like content rendering, when someone goes to a group and how the group pages are laid out and the functionality required on them, it's almost impossible to really get into the details of those things without having a much better picture of the profile types and the roles and what our expectations are. So there's definitely some other questions I would have, but it's impossible to really intelligently ask those questions until we get through this first step of how the profiles are handled, these types and the roles and things of that nature. So that I think is something we'll have to do offline, and we'll regroup to discuss that. As far as other things, there are various things related to the recruiter type, which did not really make it into different things. An example of that would be under the portals. So on page 15, it discusses the various types of portals. I believe that a recruiter, and Greg kind of touched on this earlier, but a recruiter has very specific functions, mostly the ability to search member athletes based on very detailed metrics, profile statistics, their height, their weight, how fast they can run, how high they can jump, the length of their arms, etc. So the recruiters have very specific functions, and would need the ability to curate a list of members that they want to reach out to, like their preferred list of members that they want to specifically recruit out of the entire universe of members. So that's an example of where the recruiter did not really make it into some of these subsequent sections.
Yeah, John, about that, I think we had discussed about a separate app, recruitment app for this sole purpose. So actually one of the SRS which in the 5 apps is about that recruiter app. I think that functionality was kept separately to a different app.
Okay, I understand that there's a separate recruiter app, but does that mean that they would only be able to access that functionality from the app and not the website?
Yeah, there's some people
John,
who,
if you
some
want the
coaches
same
really don't. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Binu, please.
Yeah, John, if you want the same functionality to be there in the website, we will have to add that one as also as a change. Right now, we have not considered that functionality since we are having a exclusive app for the recruiter.
Okay, I'd like to then, I don't know that it would fit necessarily in the time frame for this MVP release. So I can see where, like, I believe, Greg, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that we'll want the recruiter functionality within the desktop.
Usually, you're talking about usually
However,
an older.
hold on, Greg, hold on, Greg.
Yeah.
But I believe that if the recruiting functionality is being built in a later phase when we get to doing the recruiter app, at that time, that part of the project, when we scope out the recruiter app, should include corresponding changes and enhancements to the website so that the basic functionality exists in both platforms.
I agree.
So I can see that definitely being a later phase, and that maybe we don't include it in the SRS for this phase, for this release.
Yeah, or just leave it more vague.
But we
John, yeah, John, we need to include that as a phase 2.
Yeah, since these are
We need to.
dependent, we have to actually complete the phase 1 of the website. Then once after that, we can actually include this in the phase 2 and make it as an
Phase 2,
add-on
and-
on the website. And if you want, actually we have planned to build a separate app for recruiters, so that this functionality should be like we have to make it as an add-on for the current website. So it's dependent, right? So it has to be moved to phase 2, I guess. Then
You mean the web
yeah,
portion
I'm
of
not
that?
sure whether I'm not sure if it'll go in phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. It'll be in a future phase, but at the time that we do the recruiter app, the recruiter functionality should also be scoped to handle the enhancements to the website as well.
Yes.
So I agree.
Does that mean that what we are contracting for now doesn't include those, or is those just different phases as we go along?
no, Greg, let me make this clear. So we had like signed for like one website and 4 apps, right? One website, it's mobile app. Then,
Right, and the recruiting app
actually
is the
train up-
fourth of them.
Yeah. Yeah, recruitment app was a 4th of them. So
good.
according to what you guys planned, this can't go in parallel, right? So that's what I understand.
Excellent.
So we'll
Okay.
have to wait. Yeah, we'll have to wait for the website and the app to finish up, and then we'll have to start working on the recruiter module on the website. That's
Yeah,
what I guess.
the timing is less important for the recruiting app because we need athletes in the population before we can actually have a recruiter be able to use the site. So that's definitely true. That's fine.
So Milan, while we are doing the recruitment app, we will have the same changes on the website web module also.
Yeah,
right?
that's what now they are suggesting. Actually, we had planned the recruiter
Yes.
app and the admin panel for the recruiter app for as a website, like
Right.
an admin portal. So I guess we'll have to change that and incorporate that into current Ubisoft's website. That's what I guess.
Ubisoft admin itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we really look at what a recruiter is going to be doing, I can see that the recruiter will use the app to do some basic functionality, communication with people that they're in contact with, checking for messages, other kind of updates. But one of the big things that a recruiter does is they're going to want to search the athlete members. And when they do that search, they're going to be getting results, thousands of members and data. And as they want to kind of browse through that data, I see that as a desktop function or perhaps a tablet function, but they're not going to be doing that on their phone.
Yeah, it's a bigger
You know, they're
list
not
and
going
a
to be
bigger
performing
screen.
those search.
Agreed.
Right. So I realistically, I just don't see that. So I believe that the user experience, like the primary functionality for Recruiter, is going to be different between the app and the website. You know, and that's yet to be defined. But to me, the way a recruiter uses the app is going to be different than the way they use the website. And they're going to go to one versus the other based on what it is that they're going to try to do.
Yeah, and it's going to be like a searching for parameters to see everybody who's over 6 feet tall, for example, and then sorting them by height, let's say. So that'll be important too. Searching and sorting are to be the important things. It'll be either personal characteristics or in my profile development stuff that I've sent you guys. It's in some of the documents that are online, and I've sent you. It describes that fourth phase of the profile development, where a person is asked for their stats, and those are sports specific and position specific, as I described to you guys last week. So those are the, those are important things to have in a recruiting platform.
Yeah, I understood, Greg. So then I guess the term profile in the UB Sports universe is going to be a little bit big, I guess.
For the athletes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Since they want to input various statistics, and for the function of recruiters, for searching the athletes, I think the term profile needs to be big for the UB Sports universe. So I guess so. What's your thoughts on that? Do we are you guys completely suggesting we keep it on a desktop platform in the site itself, or
I'm not suggesting that. I mean, I think that the whole recruiting thing is a later phase. So, there's plenty of time to get our hands around what exactly the user experience should be in both the app and the desktop site. My point here was just that as we go through it, I think that their objectives when they use the desktop site is different than when they use the app. How we build it out and everything else has yet to be determined. I mean, I don't think we're at a point where we should even talk any further about that. The key was just to identify that since I touched and raised the question about recruiting, we can acknowledge that that's a future phase, but we just need to understand that when we get to that point, the app and the site are not going to be replicas of each other functional wise. We're going to call out things like the search to be more prominent perhaps on the site versus in the app.
Right.
You may not even be able to do the search. Maybe you don't even allow the search in the app because the volume of data that would be transferred across the wire could be problematic too. Right.
That's right.
okay, got it. So it's better
Okay, if we
yeah, please go ahead.
If we go back to the SRS and move on, unless there's other questions, but I wanted to jump to page 16 and 17, where we discuss invitations, notifications, messages, and things of that nature. One of the things that's missing from the SRS is that we do need a way for people to opt out and unsubscribe from different types of mailing. So we need to include a page which would, I've always called them orphan pages. You don't really link to it off of the site. You'd only have links to the unsubscribe from emails that get sent out. But the page needs to exist. And, you know, off the top of my head, there's 3 or 4 different types of things that you should be able to unsubscribe from. And one type of messages that you should not ever be allowed to unsubscribe from. So any email communications that are related to your membership, your profile, you know, if we have security messages that a profile was logged into, or we need to do a two-step registration versus one-step registration, et cetera, anything like that. You can't opt out of account-related messaging.
Right.
The types of messages that you, another type that you can't opt out of are parental messages.
Right.
If your child is still active, you can't opt out of parental messages. The other types of messages that you can opt out of would be marketing and promotional emails.
Right.
Group emails that are sent by an ambassador for the sport.
Right. Maybe either emails or native notifications. That's
you
something I
should be
don't
able
have
to
here.
opt out. You should be able to opt out of team messages. You know, so if a coach is sending updates to a schedule to the team, I should be able to opt out of getting them that way.
So we need a categories, not just notification timings like I have here. John, are you looking on the Zoom page?
I can be, yeah, I am looking.
So this is on the notifications in my world. And the about me, the info, sports, and photo. The first thing is about me. The second one is notifications. And it starts getting into that, but not as explicitly as you're saying with different groups.
Yeah, and you know, more specifically, I'm concerned about the opt-out functionality, but I can see how that really applies to group notifications. So another takeaway is, because I don't want to dive really into the details right now on this call, but Greg, you and I need to follow up and kind of define what those messaging types are.
John,
that will be
actually,
sending.
you can go ahead and include something called a newsletter, where they can where you can group all the messages, those messages like marketing messages that you want to convey to the user base. You can have that grouped under a newsletter, and you can give an option for the users to subscribe or unsubscribe to it whenever they want.
Yeah, we could also do that as we send out notifications and emails. We can ask them if they want to, if they want this kind of stuff sent to them, or if they want all notifications stopped. And over time,
I agree.
Right, they'll opt out.
Krishna Priya, I agree with you completely. But it doesn't change the need to have a simple unsubscribe page, because that's a requirement for any, you know, promotional emails that are sent, is to have a link to a page. So we still need an unsubscribe page that allows a person to unsubscribe based on that link. It allows that person to unsubscribe, and the unsubscribe could very well be a non-member. You know, if we're sending promotional emails, now it's quite possible that that specific functionality will be handled by whatever email service provider like MailChimp or whoever that we use. If so I still believe that we need the ability for like people who are members that get messages from an ambassador should have a link where they just go to a page to unsubscribe from that type of message. We should not be sending the email and simply telling them in the email that they can go to their profile and change their notification settings.
So, right. So that would be done like when on a real-time basis, if they get something and say, I don't want to get this kind of information anymore, it says opt out of these notifications. Is that what you're thinking, John?
Yeah, so the link would have, the unsubscribe link, could be valid for only a certain period of time. So you're not maintaining them in the database. It's valid for like 2 weeks or something like that. But if they click that link will have some identifier in it that identifies the member and the message type.
Yeah, MailChimp and
I'm
all
not
those
sure
email
if-
services do that.
So
Yes,
Greg,
John, that
one of
is
the
possible.
takeaways.
That is possible.
One of the takeaways is, Greg, you and I are going to have to come up with a clear definition of these email types. And we may need to have a brief conversation with some of our marketing people if they want to distinguish different types of promotional emails. And also in regards to promotional, there's also, the need to identify third-party marketers. It's people that can opt out of sharing the list. I mean, Greg, I don't know if you have any concept as to whether you're ever going to share your list, with people and allow people to buy, do a list select from your membership or anything like. I'm not sure what the details are around that. We can talk about that at some point.
Yeah, most sites now when you sign up,
The
they ask that
marketing and
question.
promotion. Yeah, the marketing and promotional emails are distinguished between our own versus third party.
Exactly.
I do have a point to add on right here. It would be great if if you guys can define the onboarding procedure as well, because everyone prefers an easy onboarding procedure, and the one which is there, the one when I went through while testing the current software, seems to be a quite tedious one. So if we could actually refine it, it would be better, I guess. So in the SRS, what we have followed is a simple the users can go ahead and register with their email and password, and later once they log in, there will be a user profile section from where they can enter the details and more information regarding them. So either you can keep it, or if you have a suggestion, or if you have a particular way of onboarding procedure which is easy and which can bring an experience, which can be an experience for the users, it would be great.
Yeah, Greg and I can come up with that. I mean, it'll